Welcome to academia.com.ng, your favorite online academic one-stop portal that provides you with all that you need to know in the area of the English language. Today we shall be looking at the different types of nouns that we have in English with copious examples. In one of our videos, we examined how to identify a noun. And the last thing on that video on how to identify a noun was that you can identify a noun by its type, but we have to separate that point so that we can look at it extensively and intensively, and that is the essence for this video. You should check that video on how to identify a noun for you to know what a noun is and how to identify it. When it comes to the various types of nouns that we have 9 types of nouns in English. We're going to look at them. Let me just rule them out for you in the table of contents, and then we will take each one of them separately and discuss each intensively and extensively with examples. The first type is the one we refer to as the proper nouns. Then we have the common nouns. We have the count nouns. We have the non-count nouns. We have the concrete or material nouns. We have the abstract nouns, we have the collective nouns, we have the verbal nouns, and then we have the possessive nouns. Let's begin to look at each of these types one after the other. Let's start with the proper nouns. What's a proper noun? A proper noun is that noun that can usually be found in personal names with or without a title. For example, we have President Trump, we have George, we have Mr. Johnson, we have Pastor Alfred, we have Dr. Sally, Professor John, and so many other examples like that. These are nouns that usually form the names of people. Proper nouns also include globally recognized holidays, festivals, calendar items like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Independence Day, Agungu Festival, Osun Osogbo Festival, Good Friday, Easter Monday, Christmas, New Year. We can also find proper nouns occurring in days of the week, like you have Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays through Sunday. Also, the same is applicable for the months of the year. They are all proper nouns like January, April, June, November, December, September. All of them are proper nouns. Also, geographical names like continents, like we have Africa, North America, Europe, Asia, they are all proper nouns. Similarly, countries like Nigeria, Lesotho, Ghana, Chad, Congo, Egypt, South Africa, Kenya, America, Spain, Italy, Germany, France, all names of countries are proper nouns. The same applies to states. Let's look at some states in Nigeria. For example, Lagos State, Ogun State, Ondo State, Anambra State. All of them are proper nouns. The same applies to lakes. We have Lake Victoria, Lake Chad. All the names of known lakes are proper nouns. The same applies to rivers like River Nile, River Benue, River Limpopo, River Orange. The same applies to seas like Black Sea, Caspian Sea, Red Sea, Dead Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and the likes. The same applies to oceans: Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. The same applies to hills and mountains like Mountain Everest, Mountain Kilimanjaro, like Idori Hills. So many hills, so many mountains that you know their names. All of that can be categorized as proper nouns. Proper nouns also occur in the names of educational institutions like University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, University of Benin, Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Federal University of Technology, Minna, Federal University of Technology, Akure. We also have proper nouns occurring in the names of government agencies and institutions like the Nigerian Television Authority, African Union, European Union, Nigerian Ports Authority, Economics and Financial Crimes Commission. We also have proper nouns occurring in the names of newspaper outfits like the Punch newspapers, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, The Economist. We also have proper nouns occurring in the name of banks and financial institutions like Guarantee Trust Bank, First Bank, Access Bank, First Mortgage Bank, Citi Bank, New York Bank, and many others. We also have proper nouns occurring in the names of television outfits or television stations like the British Broadcasting Corporation BBC, Cable Network News CNN, Fox News, Al Jazeera, Channels Television, TVC, AIT, and so many other names that you have in television outfits. When it comes to proper nouns, we can also say that proper nouns can be pre-modified. For instance, you can bring in a modifier before a proper noun. We have the following examples: the Daily Sun, the Suez Canal. The two examples, the Daily Sun, the Suez Canal, have been pre-modified with the definite article the. Proper nouns can also be post-modified. For example, you have House of Lords, the House of Representatives, House of Assembly, House of Commons, Alexander the Great, Paul the Apostle, Jesus the Christ. All of these are head words. You have the House, Alexander, Paul, Jesus, but they are post-modified. In other words, there's a further description of what the head word stands for, like the House of Lords. Now that differentiates it from the House of Assembly or the House of Common or Alexander the Great, not just any Alexander, but Alexander the Great. We have Paul the Apostle. We have Jesus the Christ, not Jesus of Nazareth, but Jesus the Christ. So, in effect, proper nouns can be combined sometimes with common nouns. And when this happens, the resulting expression is taken as a proper noun. What are we saying in essence? There are situations where we combine proper nouns with common nouns, and when this happens, the resulting expression is taken as a proper noun. For example, Trafalgar Square, Eagle Square, Stamford Bridge, Trans Amusement Park. Now, square there is a common noun, but now you have added a proper noun, eagle, with that square, then you have Eagle Square. Bridge is a common noun. It can be any bridge. But now once you say Stamford Bridge, then Stamford is a proper noun plus a common noun bridge, but the resulting expression Stamford Bridge becomes a proper noun. Let's look at the characteristics of proper noun. The first thing you need to note about proper nouns is that their initial letters are usually capitalized, whether it's a one-word proper noun or a two-word proper noun or a three-word proper noun. The first letters of each of the words are usually capitalized. We can say you write that in title case. The second characteristics of proper noun is that proper nouns usually do not admit articles. Let's look at names. For instance, you can say the George has come to see me. You can say the Johnson has come to see me. You can say Johnson or George has come to see me. Though this is with some exceptions, because it is said that there is no rule without an exception. The third characteristic is that proper nouns usually do not admit the plural form except when we use them in a special sense. For instance, the Johnsons will visit today. You can't pluralize a proper noun. You can't say Jameses. You can't say Obafemi Universities is one university. You can't say Universities of London. It's one name. It's one form, the singular form. But when used in a special sense, then the proper noun can admit a plural form with the S marker, like the Johnsons will visit today. The Jacobs will see you tomorrow. So these are the characteristics of proper nouns. Let's look at common nouns. Common nouns are general nouns. In other words, they are common as the name goes. They are not names like proper nouns, but they can be a label. For instance, boy. You know who a boy is? A young male boy. it is a common noun which denotes a label that is used for a young male. Proper nouns, when they do not refer to specific entity, can also be changed into common nouns. Let's see some examples of common nouns. We have girl, baby, house, road, paper, sea, ocean, city, town, state, villa, pavilion, roof, street, close, quarters, and the likes. Now, common nouns are not usually capitalized like the proper nouns, except when they begin a sentence. That's how you differentiate between a common noun and a proper noun. You do not capitalize a common noun. Common nouns further subdivide into count nouns and non-count nouns. Now, the count nouns are referred to in some quarters as countable nouns. In other words, nouns that can be counted, while the non-count nouns are referred to as uncountable nouns in some quarters. Now, let's look at these two subdivisions of common noun, the count nouns or the countable nouns, and then we will look at the non-count or the uncountable nouns. Let's begin with the countable nouns or the count nouns. These are nouns that we can count easily, and they have that countability nature. We can count them. Now, the reason why we call them count nouns is because if we decide to count them, we will count them. For instance, if you empty a bag of beans on the floor and you bring in 1,000 people, I can assure you that within some hours or within some days, they will count each of those grains. So, a bag of beans in effect is countable. And now, we can pluralize countable nouns, and they can accommodate articles, the indefinite article a or its variant and before them. Now, when you think of anything that you can count, such an item is most likely a count noun. For instance, boy, girl, pen, pencil, television, car, book, bicycle, phone, cup, lorry, tanker, chair, table, woman, man, father, mother, sister, mouse, animal, bird, insect, dog, goat, etc. All of these can be counted. They can be pluralized. They can admit the article a or the article an, as the case may be. You can say a boy, a pencil, a television, a car, an egg, an animal, an insect, and so on and so forth. Let's look at non-count nouns, or the ones generally referred to as uncountable nouns. These are nouns that we cannot count, or we usually do not count. We don't count them, neither can we count them. For example, salt, water, sand, oil, cement, powder. All of these nouns cannot be counted. You cannot count water. You cannot count salt. You cannot count oil. In the same vein, they cannot be pluralized. They cannot also accommodate the indefinite article a or its variant an. They cannot be pluralized. You should remember that. Neither can they accommodate the indefinite article a with its variant an before them. However, we can count or pluralize them only when we put them in measurable forms, or when we consider them from the perspective of their containers. Let me say that again. Even though we refer to them as non-count nouns, we can actually count them based on these two conditions. First, when we put them in measurable forms, or when we consider them from the perspective of their containers. For example, we cannot count bread, but when we put in loaves, it becomes easier to count. So we can have 5 loaves of bread, 7 tubers of yam, 3 gallons of oil, 4 sachets of water, 4 bottles of water, 3 cups of gari, 6 bags of cement, 1 load of sand, 4 items of information, 7 yards of cloth, and so on and so forth. So when you put them in measurable forms, you can count them. You can say 7 buckets of water, even though you cannot count water. But because you have put it in a measurable form, or you are looking at water from the perspective of its container, you can say a bucket of water, a gallon of water, a drum of water, a cup of water, a bottle of water, a sachet of water. So it has become countable. Let's proceed further to look at another type of noun. We have the concrete or the material nouns. The concrete or the material nouns are nouns that are palpable. When you say something is palpable, it means you can see it, you can feel it, you can taste it, and you can touch it. That is when you say something is palpable. They are mostly objects. Examples include stone, wood, bread, laptop, chalk, book, table, chair, block, car, house, pole, engine, tire, broom, apple, guava, oranges, bread. Yeah, now all of these are palpable. You can see them, you can feel them, you can touch them. So any noun that is concrete in nature or that is material in nature is a noun that you can see, feel, taste, or touch. These are the examples of concrete noun like we have itemized earlier on. Now let's go on to look at another type of nouns. We have the abstract nouns. These types of nouns, they are the direct opposite of the concrete nouns. These are nouns that express abstract concepts, feelings, ideas, emotions. They are concepts that we cannot see, concepts that we cannot touch, concepts that we cannot taste or handle. They are abstract in nature. Let's look at some of the examples that we have. For instance, courage, bravery, importance, wisdom, beauty, honesty, integrity, success, failure. All of these are abstract in nature. You cannot see beauty, even though you can appreciate beauty, but you can't say this is beauty. This is how beauty looks like. And as the saying goes, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What is beautiful to somebody may not be beautiful to another person. Honesty is a quality, is a nature, is a character. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it. The same goes for integrity or importance or bravery or wisdom or chivalry or success or failure. However, in some cases, some abstract nouns can be felt. For example, you cannot see hunger, but you can feel hunger. The same applies to anger, pain, relief, joy, sorrow, sadness, gladness, fear. A lot of people cannot see fear, but you can certainly feel fear. Another type of nouns that we have in English is the collective nouns. Collective nouns are used to describe a group of people or things collectively as a whole or as one entity. Collective nouns can take the form of a singular entity or plural entity depending on the choice you make. For example, the team plays regularly. Team is a collective noun that comprises 11 players when we are talking about a football team, for instance. So we can say the team plays regularly. Now, the team as an entity, we see the team here as an entity and it accommodates the singular verb plays. But you can decide to pluralize the team, to see it as a plural entity, and you will not be wrong. So you can say the team have departed the tournament. Here we see the team as individual members and it takes the plural verb have. So if you say the team has departed, you are right. And if you say the team have departed, you are equally right. It depends on the choice you are making. Now let's see more examples of collective nouns. We have colony, we have crew, we have litter, we have drove, we have anthology. For instance, you can have anthology of poems, a herd of sheep, a flock, a pride, an orchestra, a pack, troop, swarm, audience, cast, tribe, shoal, convocation, congregation, army, bench, troop, host, company, and so on and so forth. There is this interesting anonymous description of collective nouns that is found in the Journal of the American Medical Association, and I would like to share it with you. It says nouns of multitude. For example, a pair of shoes, a gaggle of geese, a pride of lions, a rash of dermatologists, a hive of allergists, a scrub of interns, a giggle of nurses, a flood of urologists, a pile of proctologists, an eyeful of ophthalmologists, a staff of bacteriologists, a cast of orthopedic rheumatologists, a gaggle of laryngologists, and so on and so forth. You can see the word gaggle, nurses, a giggle, and all of that. Description of collective nouns. And on academia.com.ng, you can refer to some posts that have dealt specifically with collective nouns. There you will find list of collective nouns for birds, collective nouns for fish, reptiles and amphibians, collective nouns for invertebrates, that is insect and mollusk. You can also see list of collective nouns for animals. If you go to the text section of this video, you're going to see the link, so you can do well to click the links and check more on collective nouns. Another type of nouns that we have in English is the verbal noun. We also refer to these types of nouns as gerund. Now, when you say gerund are verbs that end in the ing form. They have the ing suffix. That is, they are verbs in the progressive or continuous form. Structurally, verbal nouns, they look like verbs, but they are actually nouns because of their functions, and they are similar to the function a noun performs. Let's look at some examples. Teaching is a noble profession. Now, teaching there is a verbal noun. Now, the word teach there actually is a verb, but when you put the ing suffix, it becomes a noun, teaching. So you can have that example. Teaching is a noble profession. Let's see some other examples of verbal nouns. Swimming, dancing, reading, writing, eating. Let's put them in sentences. Swimming is an all-embracing exercise. Dancing is a relaxing entertainment. Reading is good for the brain. Writing can fetch you good money. Eating is my hobby. The verbal nouns in the examples above all serve as the subject of each of the sentence where they occur. However, they can perform all the functions of a noun. They can function as an object. For example, you can say, I love teaching. They can function as a complement of the subject. You can say, a good sport is swimming. They can function as the complement of the preposition. You can have the example, I voted in favor of reading. Let's look at yet another type of nouns in English, which will be the last one we'll be looking at in this video, and that is the possessive nouns. Now, these types of nouns, they perform only one function. They show possession. They indicate that a noun possesses something. Depending on their usage, they can also function as possessive adjectives. Let's see some example. The man's car is old. My brother's wife is generous. St. James's School celebrates a decade of existence. We have submitted teachers' lists. So look at all these types of nouns that we have considered in this video: the proper nouns, the common nouns, the count nouns, the non-count nouns, the concrete or the material nouns, the collective nouns, the verbal nouns, and the possessive nouns. These are all the types of nouns that we have in English language. Nouns are important parts of speech, and we need to know everything that has to do with them. Ensure that you share this with your friends and get across to us on our social media platforms when you do visit academia.com.ng. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to check the video on parts of speech and the video on how to identify a noun or how to know what a noun is. You can connect with us on Facebook and like us on Academia English at facebook.com/Academia English written together. We are also on Twitter. You can see us on Twitter at academia_ng, and we are also on YouTube, Academia Edu Consult. On YouTube, there you will see us. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our video. Thank you for watching this video. See you soon in another video that will bring you educative information about the English language. Thank you.